Good morning, traders. It is January 30th, 8:31 a.m. Eastern Time. Welcome to another video from Digital Goatz Academy. I am your host, Antoine Farah, and this is another live trading session, guys. I'm already pretty much in my positions for the day. One thing that I did want to talk about or kind of go over, like what transpired yesterday, and of course, we'll do like a weekly review. But as you guys know, if you were trading yesterday, you know that President Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve, he did his interest rate. I believe it was a small interest rate cut. It wasn't a lot. I think it was like I forgot the number. I actually didn't even watch. I actually didn't even watch the meeting, or I didn't listen to the news to figure out what the numbers were. But that made the market react. Now, yesterday, once I dropped the video, once I dropped the video today, you should hear that I was talking about that yesterday. I was talking about that, okay, going into the trading day, hey guys, Jerome Powell, I didn't know that he was speaking. I just didn't have the numbers. So, hey guys, Jerome Powell is speaking. So specifically towards S&P, I was saying that we should have a possible push down here. We don't really want to see that, but it did just because of, that volatility due to news uncertainty. So this is what the market produced yesterday. This is where the manipulation came from. If you were trading like early in the morning, you would have noticed that the market was kind of pivoting towards the downside. So if you would have spot opportunities, you would have saw that, hey, the market is bearish or at least trying to correct. And that's what it did. It pushed all the way down here yesterday. And it actually created support, struggling to break through this. So currently we're still consolidating, but if you look, we're pretty much consolidating up. The one thing about indices is that they do create forms of support through consolidation. So if you turn it to a line chart, say you were to draw, again, start from where the market came from and then go back. I kind of have like a support structure down there, but that's a gap. So I don't treat that as like support or resistance. It's just an annotation for me. But say this is your support structure. All right. Let's So right here, what do we need to confirm what direction that the market is doing? We need price to touch a level of resistance, reject, or bounce off of two areas or two times within a price zone. So this is the price zone. So if we just look at $6,018 all the way down to $6,012. Really, this is your range, but let's focus on the structure. So I like to stay with the structure because it makes sense. I do know that the market did travel down there, but one thing that I'm waiting on is specifically for the structure, right? So the market pushed down. The market pushed down all the way down here, creating that level of support that we were looking for. So the market pushed up, not to mention this morning, it shot down, sort of creating pretty much a previous high that the market decided to retest out of. So it shot down this morning. It attacked pretty much, there was a gap here. So that's why I have that purple here. There was a gap here. The market did in fact retest that. And now it's currently pretty much doing what, it's going to do until it figures out its direction. I still believe that the direction is up. But I think that the market is going to throw manipulation tactics in order to push people out of their positions. So we're kind of waiting to see what the market is going to show us. But again, the New York market session just opened. So with that being said, is that it's going to throw a lot of manipulation. There's going to be uncertainty really until we get to 9:30 and some more clarification on what the market is overall actually trying to do. So if you see that the market is trying to get aggressively negative right now, one thing I talked about yesterday was the change in the dollar amount. So we were up like positive $5 for S&P. For the NASDAQ, we were up, I think, positive $100. I mean, $100. Now we're only up, a dollar, $2. I mean, a dollar, almost $2, and then up $40. While US 30 is down negatively. Now, the one thing that I already said is that these are probably set in their direction as far as like them being positive. It's just, again, we're now in the New York session. So the market is making its moves on what it's going to do. So like I said, one thing I like to do is turn it to a line chart and see what is even going on. So I can see that we broke out a consolidation right here. We are consolidating right here within this area that we expected the market to break out of. So the market broke out of this area. It's currently retesting this area, and we're pretty much trying to see what the market is overall trying to do from here. It could decide to, push down more, but like I said, like with yesterday, we really don't want to see that. This is nothing but consolidation right here until we have a breakout. I know that it's showing signs of like pushing to the downside. We don't know yet. We do know that because the New York session is open, that the market is acting negatively. The one thing that I would say that is probably impacting that, many of you probably don't know, or if you're just waking up, you probably have heard the news in DC and Washington, DC. Unfortunately, American Airlines plane collided with the Black Hawk last night. So that's probably the reaction that the market is having, such a negative impact. But I don't think it's enough. Now, I don't want to put emphasis on it because I'm definitely, me personally, I'm saddened by those losses, and that's just a freak accident that you can't predict. So, the market is probably responding based off of that. Based off of that information, the market is acting negatively. But I don't think that event is enough to drive the market bearish. I think it's just enough to make the market react as if it wants to go bearish. Because again, you see, we're still respecting these zones. The market did push up, but we haven't closed on this candle. And we'll see kind of like in the next 15 minutes, next 6 minutes, like what this 15-minute candle is showing us, what this 30-minute candle is showing us, so forth and so forth. Now, we do break down. Here. The market is probably trying to retest these areas down here. That makes all the sense in the world to me. But what it's probably trying to do is find true support or retest the previous high that it broke out of. Now, if you look to the right, the market did a lot of retesting in this area. So I'm thinking that we don't want to, come as far as down here. The market doesn't want to push as far as down here. But again, that's still open. It's early right now. New York session just opened. We haven't hit 930 yet. But what I will say is that this was a gap this morning. You probably can't see it. Well, I can't see it because the way my screen is. All right, I can see it now. Let me make it a little bit darker. So this was a gap. This was a gap this morning that the market pretty much pushed down from. So it broke up. It did a little fake out. But like I said, it pushed back to an area that it broke out of. If you see, I had this line here yesterday. I had this line drawn out. And what the market did was that when it pushed up here, that was the fake out to push down here. But you see it, well, we just drew that support. You see there was another gap down here. My purple areas are my gaps. Now, the one thing that I want the market to do is either run away from that gap, reject it, bounce off of it. So I would like it to come within the gap, but the market already cleared this, because anytime I analyze like a gap, I'm coming from like where the gap actually started. So the gap started all the way over here, right? So this market has been touching in this zone where this gap is at multiple times. So I think it cleared this gap. It just wanted to do a retest, so one, that's market structure to create support, but also solidify that, yes, I am bullish from here. And our expectations is that somewhere within this zone, we want the market to get bullish from here. Your clarification or your clearance was that is if the market stays above this line right here. So if it stays above this black line, that market is shooting up. It stays below it, it's probably pushing down in order to get lower levels. So we'll see within these next couple of within this next hour what the market is actually trying to do right here. So it's just basically a patient wait game. You know what I'm saying? See what price is trying to deliver for us, and to see if that news that happened yesterday did actively impact the market. That is terrible. That's kind of crazy that even happened, man. Freak accidents happening like that. Definitely condolences to all the family members and people that lost loved ones and their lives. You know, that is crazy. All right. So what I did want to discuss real quick as we're waiting for the market to show more information, not the Japanese yen. So I did give, if you jumped on my what was it? What am I trying to think of, guys? If you jumped on my not my session, if you viewed my video on YouTube, because I mean, if you viewed my previous video where I was talking about chart marking, right? I used, my example was using the Great British Pound or the British Pound against the US dollar. I used that example and actually found an opportunity, which I discussed. Now, we're currently still consolidating, but I do think that we're still heading in that direction with a little bit of manipulation, that this market is definitely going to drive down. Let's see what the dollar is doing right now. Again, we're still waiting for more data because we're still waiting for more data because of that news that because of that current event that happened with American Airlines colliding with that Blackhawk. Why am I sounding like that? Blackhawk. You know what I'm saying? So that could impact the dollar, but I think the direction is pretty much set. Again, it's still consolidating, so we're just pretty much waiting for GU to push down if it continues. Now, if it responds differently and this market decides to get bullish from here and break to the upside, then obviously it violated our structure, and we're looking for the market to break high, come back, to wherever it broke out of, and then continue to push up. So we'll see. Again, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of news filtering in the market. So there's a lot of indecisiveness, uncertainty, investors moving their money, especially with that accident that happened yesterday. So we're just kind of seeing how the market plays out today based off of, it is like indices, for example, it is overall bullish, you know what I'm saying? But the only thing that we're waiting for is clarification. We need a candle to push up out of these zones, especially because what happened yesterday. But I will say that this is a good time, especially with like the way that the indices and indices could possibly remain aggressively bullish. One thing is that S&P 500 is projected to go to 70,000. I mean, not 70,000, $7,000 a share. So I'm excited for that. And that's what my expectations is. My expectations is that this market is going to break up out of this area and then continue to push up and then decide to probably after it makes its extreme bull run, push all the way back down here and then possibly start ranging from there. Because I mean, this market is up. The only thing it's doing is, pretty much consolidating in this area. It broke out of that structure, it retested it, should continue to go from here, especially with this information on the daily time frame. Yeah, so let's just see what it's showing us, guys. I mean, that's really what it is. You see what it's showing you, but you can start identifying stuff that at least tells you, hey, this market is at least going to push up. All this imbalance right here, it's definitely going to push up. maybe pushing down, but then pushing up from here. And then we'll kind of know what it's trying to show us, because there's a lot of imbalance right here that I know the market is going to have to attack. And either it's going to clean that or it's going to retest it and then push down. But like I said, I'm still bullish on S&P, US, I mean, not US 30. Well, yeah, US 30 overall. I know currently US 30 is in a bear trend. Let's see. Didn't I have this annotated? And you guys probably saw the other day that US 30 was not like, it was not responding the same way as S&P and the NASDAQ. So when US 30 was like buying S&P and the NASDAQ, they were both selling, and then vice versa. But what it looks like is that the market decided to push down to a level of resistance. I mean, a previous consolidation zone, which is kind of crazy. So it did create resistance on the smaller time frame, on the 30-minute. Sorry if y'all hear my fire. What am I trying to say? My smoke detector. My smoke detector going off. Yeah, I gotta get new batteries. That's funny. So it created this level of resistance. It's heading back towards that gap. But like I said, I want this thing to push away from that gap. You know, the fact that it's created like a range low over here. So US 30 is ranging currently. Wow, I got that on point. That's crazy. So range low. Oh man. Bottom. And then this is our range high or resistance. I'll probably just do a range high instead of, y'all know that that's resistance. Now we hit support. We hit support on US 30. So US 30 just found support for like the third time, to be honest. Then again, if you're like, well, Antoine, how are you finding the support on the 15-minute time frame? Just turn it to a line chart. You can see that it bounced off of here. And what it looked like it did was really just go back to the previous low it broke out of. And that was all the way down here. Man, that's super crazy, because it's like S&P and US 30 are, I mean, and not NASDAQ aren't even showing that image. But if you look at like how the market actually, portrayed itself, you would almost think that S&P and the Nasdaq would do the same thing. Let's actually see. I wonder. But yeah, looking good. GU. So now that I see it, like I'm positive GU is pushing down. Like I see it now. You know what I'm saying? Like I see the sell. 9:30 happens, it'll probably boost this market down. Not boost, push this market down. Anywhere from 9:30 to 10:30. So like I see the sell now, and it's fairly easy to identify like when you're used to seeing like the market do this stuff over and over and over again. So like yeah, I know y'all may be like, well, how are you seeing the sell? Like this pattern right here, this is a selling pattern, like from where it came from. And it's more aggressive. Oh, it's not. Did I just move something? It's more aggressive on the smaller time frame. Well, it's more aggressive on the higher time frame is what I meant to say, but it's going to be aggressive even on the smaller time frame. So I know y'all are probably like, well, that thing is buying up right now. Well, give it some time. It's probably finding an area to retest, and what it'll probably do is this candle will probably turn into a wick. Probably turn into a wick and then a bearish candle, but give it some time. We're still within a zone where the market could, respect. I mean, we can even push all the way back up here, but yeah, this is a selling opportunity for GU. I see it. And watch this. Coordinates. Man, I'm proud that I'm not off. Like I don't be off when I'm doing my annotations when I'm doing my markups, right? So this red line, now you're like, what does this red line even mean? Well, this red line signifies that we wanted the market to stay, even though it may pop up to like fill this gap. What we want the market to do is, once it clears out, to stay below that line. We don't want the market to go beyond that or break these highs. But if it decides to visit this gap again, which it could, and then pop down, we want it to stay below this line. We want it to break. If it's going to push up, we want it to touch here, then break down and continue being bearish below this. Once we have confirmation that it's below this, then you're pretty much good. But if it stays above this zone, then yeah, more than likely this thing is buying up. Let me see what the dollar is doing real quick. And that's all my time for today, guys. So the dollar is currently right now trying to, I don't even think that it's gonna, will it clear that? It could. The dollar trying to get this, fill this gap could make the market, which is so crazy. So it's like if the dollar goes bearish, are they gonna say that the dollar goes bearish because that incident happened yesterday? But it's like the gap already produced yesterday. So how do you see what I'm saying? But I digress. I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna get into that because I'll get into a whole little conspiracy theory like rant. If y'all see that, the dollar's currently bearish. It is in consolidation right now too. So you can't really say that it's selling because it hasn't really broke out of nowhere. And not to mention the last move it made was selling move on a 15-minute. But you know, that's not strong information. So if we see where it came from down here, um, for it to confirm, well, one, we would, regardless, it's still bullish, but we want to see it clear this gap. But if it decides to reject this gap, it could want to visit this gap later, if that makes sense. That should make sense. So where this gap is at, the market, if it doesn't either try to test it like halfway or fully engulf the gap, then this market will probably try to come back and test this area later. Like I said, these are kind of more in line with stocks. So when like the stock market is gapping up, it doesn't really come back to the gap immediately. As you see right here, it'll do it later on. So I can see the dollar rejecting this area, confirming or validating what we want to see from GU to continue pushing down. You see it's already in that gap. So I expect it to, since it's there, I expect it to come off this gap somewhere probably like up here, bounce off, and then push down. Like, I don't think this thing is like about to get extremely bullish. And if anything, if it's going to do something, it'll probably create some form of resistance if it doesn't like reject that gap. So pretty much everything is set. You guys have the information on the charts. Everything is based off of, you know, what 9:30 and then 10 o'clock does beyond. So once you get the clarification or the clearance on what the market is actually trying to do, just execute. Remember, it's the beginning of the year, so there's no need if your trade isn't panning out, there's no need to like try to hold it or even hold it if you're in drawdown, especially if you're in drawdown. Close out if you're not, you know, in extreme drawdown, but sometimes you still have to close out, especially when you're in extreme drawdown. Stop hoping for the market to turn around. So everybody should have the mindset that I'm gonna get my money, and I'm gonna get out the market. Now, real quick before I close this call, is that you see how this candle's in balance. Like there's nothing confirming that it should be selling. So the fact that the market is already up here, that makes sense, right? So what we want to see, we want to see it come, you know, maybe even as high as like 786 and then reject. That would be a previous low up here. So I wouldn't say be scared if the market came all the way back up here, but just something to pay attention to. Like I said, I do still feel that GU is bearish. I think that it's just testing the gap, which is like right here. Really, let me get the true gap. That's it right there. So that's the actual gap if you look at it. So like I said, the market can cover anything from 50% to 786. And then that could be your turnaround. 786 could be your turnaround at like 24,850. That makes sense because that's like a bank number. So like 24 around there could come shy of that, but around there, that's where you're looking at the market to sell off from. So appreciate you guys' time as always, yo. What we'll do is a review tomorrow just to see what the market, what transpired in the market, you know, today, and just what happened overall through this week based off of economics and technicals. So if you find value in this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you comment on anything that you guys want to see or anything that you were confused about that maybe I need to go over in another video. And always, either before or after, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. It is your guy, Antoine Farrar at Digital Goatz Academy. I'll catch you guys on the next video.